Will the ultimate truth about Kindred and their plan to destroy the life of Peter Parker tear open everything we once knew about the webhead? Well, let's hop into the pages of Amazing Spider-Man issue number 73, the penultimate issue of this Nick Spencer run, and find out together, shall we? So then, picking up from where the end of Sinister War left off, Spider-Man had managed to vanquish the 6 different incarnations of the Sinister Six, though he didn't really do it. He had help from Boomerang and Doc Ock. And now we see a bloody, bruised, battered, and beaten Peter finally move his way that much closer to the final showdown with Kindred. But who is Kindred? A vengeful ghost of Harry Osborn returned from the fires of hell to seek revenge on his old friend? That's what we thought to be true, but at the end of the previous issue, Kindred swore to reveal themselves to Mary Jane. Well, in this issue, Kindred removes the mask to reveal that they are actually Sarah Stacy. At first, I actually thought that it might have been Gwen Stacy, but then I was reminded that those two characters look exactly alike on purpose. And there's a good chance if you haven't been reading Spider-Man for the last 20 odd years that you probably don't know who this character is. Well, Sarah Stacy is actually the illegitimate love child of Gwen Stacy and Norman Osborn, fathered sometime during a European excursion. Sarah and her brother Gabriel were artificially aged up via science and served as the antagonists of the story Sins Past, which before the events of One More Day was probably the most hated Spider-Man story of all time. Well, buckle up, choo-choo, and get on the retcon train, everybody, because it turns out none of that was actually true. Gabriel and Sarah were actually test tube babies created by Harry Osborn. For you see, at some point after taking the Green Goblin formula and setting into motion his greatest caper ever, wherein he used chameleon and life model decoys to make Peter think his spy parents had come back from the dead, Harry also basically wanted to pull the same trick on Norman by making him think he had fathered 2 children with Gwen. I don't know how exactly that hurts him more than Gwen, but hey, here we are. And wait, before you say, wasn't there a whole thing in Sins Past about Norman having a serum that could stabilize the clone's decay and that Peter's own blood was able to help Sarah out? Shut up. Basically, this is the reason that Kindred is the way they are. This has all been one giant secret family Sins Past caper coming back to bite all the heroes and villains in the ass. Because you see, Kindred was Harry. Well, technically the evil Harry AI, and Kindred was also Sarah. There were multiple Kindreds running around at once because Kindred may not also be paranormal either, as apparently Sarah has been regrowing different clones of herself and her brother and probably other people too, who all ended up decaying and dying over time because apparently the Jackal is the only one who can actually make the really good clones within the Spider-Man universe. This essentially means that poor Sarah has been caught in an endless cycle of death and rebirth, and she blames Spider-Man for all of it. Even though technically shouldn't that be evil AI Harry's fault, as he's the one who's been perpetuating all of this from the very beginning? You know what, I honestly don't even know anymore, and in fact it might not be anyone's fault anymore because we still have the hanging plot thread of Mephisto and Doctor Strange, who are playing casino games for everyone's soul right now. And believe it or not, we only have one issue left to wrap all of this up, so be sure to keep your eyes peeled for that one next time, everyone, as the comic comes to a close. So there you have it, everyone. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 73. Nick Spencer finally spills the beans and explains what's actually been going on in his run this whole time, and I gotta say the answers leave me a little bit conflicted. On one hand, I certainly appreciate them doing away with and retconning some of the worst aspects of one of the worst Spider-Man stories of all time in Sins Past. But learning this late in the game that it was Sarah and that there were multiple Kindreds running around doesn't exactly make the story better, it just makes it a lot more convoluted. In fact, I do believe this issue finally crosses that ultimate event horizon, hitting that sour spot where in Sinister War is now officially too impenetrable to new Spider-Man fans who haven't been reading for 20 plus years, but also annoying to the fans who have been reading Spider-Man for that long for all the little tiny inconsistencies. Again, I appreciate the deep cuts and the lore that Nick Spencer is doing here. I appreciate all the house cleaning he's doing with the Spider-Man canon, but at the end of the day, if you take more time to explain your story than tell it to me, then you didn't tell a good story. By far, though, the most annoying part, though, is that even though all these huge seismic events are happening within the life of Peter Parker, he has been such a tag-along in this story for the last couple issues now. All this stuff keeps happening in the life of Peter Parker and to the people around him, and yet he's just kinda not able to react to any of it right now. Ultimately, I think I can only really give this one a 6 out of 10. It's certainly not boring. I certainly want to read the final issue, but I still want to also pull my hair out over some of this stuff too. Hey there everyone, Kate Joel again, and I just want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. It means a lot to me. And hey, if you enjoyed the book I covered in this issue and want some comics of your own, might I recommend Book Depository? It's my #1 place for shopping for comic book trades. You get a great price, and if you use my link down in the description, you'll actually be helping me out at the same time. You get something, I get something, everybody wins, right? So until next time everyone, I've been Joel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.